You need to go to the Proxmox website, go to the Virtual Environment tab, click Learn More, and download the ISO. We will use also something called Balena Etcher in order to flash the ISO file into our USB. I will use Windows. I will choose Flash from Drive, go to my downloads, go to the Proxmox ISO that I have downloaded earlier. I will click Open, select the target. I will choose the flash drive that I have. It should be automatically scanned. And I will click Select and flash. Now you just need to wait for the process to finish. Once it's done, you can safely remove the USB, and I will see you on the configuration part. Once you have your USB, plug it into the computer. I have rebooted the computer, and now I will spam F12 to access the BIOS. Great! Once we are here, we will select our UEFI flash drive. This is the USB that you have actually put into your computer. But first, we need to actually go into the BIOS setup in order to check if everything is okay and if all the configurations are correct in order to install Proxmox. Let's go to the BIOS setup. Depending on which computer you have, you might not have the same screen, but if you use one of the Dell Optiplexes, you will have the same one. Now, we can go to Secure Boot. Please, during the installation, you need to have an Ethernet cable plugged into your computer. And also, for obvious reasons, the Bluetooth doesn't work. So please plug in your mice and your keyboard into the USB slots. Secure Boot prevents unassigned software from loading. Since Proxmox uses custom kernel modules and drivers, we need to disable it or the system won't boot properly. If we leave the Secure Boot enabled, Proxmox will either fail to boot or have compatibility issues with the hardware, drivers, and virtualization features. Secure Boot is designed for customer Windows machines. For a hypervisor like Proxmox, we need full control, so we disable it. Virtualization technology lets the CPU handle virtual machine operations directly. Without it, the system has to stimulate everything in software, which is incredibly slow. We're enabling VTX because it gives virtual machines direct access to CPU features. This is what makes VM run at usable speeds instead of being 10 times slower. If virtualization is off, you could still create VMs, but they take forever to boot and run. The boot sequence tells the computer which drive to look at first when starting up. We need to make sure that the Proxmox installation disk is set at the boot priority during the installation. If the boot sequence is wrong, the system might try to boot from old installation instead of finding the Proxmox system. We can change the boot order here so that after the Proxmox is installed, the system boots from the main hard drive where Proxmox lives. After we have done all those 3 steps, we can safely accept, click exit and reboot. This should boot Proxmox automatically. Remember, please do not unplug your USB. Your computer will boot from the USB. Great! Now we have a couple of different options that we can choose. The first part, you need to use the keyboard, then the mouse will appear. We will use obviously the graphical installation, which is easier, so we choose graphical. It's setting up, it's searching, it's scanning all of our devices. As you can see, it sees the ports, it sees the SSDs. Here it's scanning for our internet, so be sure to check to have the Ethernet cable plugged into the WAN port. And we are presented with the Proxmox screen. Obviously, we will read carefully the user agreement. Great, I'm a fast reader, so I will click agree. In the target hard disk, you need to choose on which of the SSDs or NVMEs you want to install the Proxmox operating system. I will choose NVMe, and if you also want, you can click on the Options tab here and choose if you want to have a RAID setup. RAID is a method where if one of your drive fails, you won't lose all your data. But remember, RAID is not a backup. I will use ext4, check if the size is correct, OK, and I'll click Next. I will input my country, I choose my language, English, Next. Now here you need to choose the password. This will be the password that you will use when you SSH into the server, when you connect to it. Choose a password that is probably secure. Here you go. And here we can input an email. Do you need to input a real email? No, but if you use a real email in the future, you will be able, for example, to have notifications on Gmail from your server. This is how I have it set up. So in a future video, I will make a video on how can you receive emails from your server. This is actually fascinating with logs, etc. So we can quickly check, even if you are not on your computer, even if you don't connect to your server, you can see what is going on. A couple of times I had the situation when one of my drives failed, or there was a mismatch in the configuration, and I could instantly fix it. And we click next. This is very important for your configuration. In the host name here, you need to choose the name of your server. It can be anything. It's just that you, at the end, you need to add a suffix. So I will choose del2.home. I used to try with .lan. It can also work. I like the abbreviation .home. So you can choose. In the IP address, you need to check what are the IP address ranges that are available on your network. If you're not sure on what IP addresses you have on your network, what you need to do is you need to search for your router. Here, it will be kind of different for you because it will basically put it in from your router. In my case, I am using here a CRS switch. My configuration is very different from yours, so I will need to configure it. So I will input an IP address that I would like for the server, which will be 192.168.1.77. The gateway and the DNS server needs to be connected to your router. So for me, it will be 192.168.1.1. This is my gateway. And for the DNS server, I will choose the same gateway. But for you, if you don't have a DNS resolver at home as a VM, you can use Google DNS 8.8.8.8 or Cloudflare DNS 1.1.1.1. So I will choose next. We can check if everything is correct. ext4, I wanted to install it on the NVMe, so it's good. There is my country. I am obviously in Europe. Here is my email, etc. And here is my configuration. The IP address that you inputted here will be the IP address that you need to connect in your web browser. So please check if you don't have anything on your network that uses the same IP address, because obviously it won't work. If you made a mistake and you want to change, you can obviously skip back, change it here and click next again. But for me, everything is correct. Automatically reboot after successful installation. Okay. And we click install. And now it will install the Proxmox. Great. Installation successful. It should automatically reboot now. And bingo, here we go. Here we have the information with the IP address that we chose. So it tells us to go to HTTPS, which is a secure connection. Why is it secure, you might ask, even if we don't have any certificates? This is because Proxmox uses its own made certificates, so the connection to your server is via the web browser secure. HTTPS 192.168.1.77.8006. This is the configuration part. I will get back to you in a moment from my PC. Once we are in our web browser, we'll go to the address specified during the installation, 192.168.1.77 and the port 8006. Here we are. Root, I will input my password, and here we are. If Proxmox Web UI is not in black for you, you need to go to the settings and change the color theme to black. When we are logging in, we also have the no valid subscription. You can watch my video on how to remove it if you want to go into details on understanding what this actually means, but we can also use a script from TTech. I have searched TTech scripts in the DuckDuckGo. I go to Proxmox GitHub, go to the website, and search for Proxmox. We can use the PVE post install script. It disables the enterprise repo, it adds the PVE sources, no subscription repo, no subscription neg, and updates the Proxmox. If you want to understand what this basically means, you can watch my other video. I explain it in full there. We go back to our shell and you just paste it with Ctrl-Shift-V. Yes. Okay. Disable the repo. I don't disable high availability because I have 3 nodes, and in a later video I will show you how to create a cluster. We can refresh the page. It took 2 minutes and we are back in. Thank you all for watching. In the next videos I'm going to show you how to create LXCs, VMs in Proxmox, and more other videos about Linux or in general Proxmox and homelabing. So if you like the video, please hit a like. It helps the channel, it helps me, and it also gives me the information that you actually like what I'm doing and that you want to see more of it. Thank you very much and have a nice day.